from Powell.
Dave from Powell. And hopefully I'll toss you an easy question. You'll be able to hit it out of the park. And I think you've already hit on it. I think everybody in this room realizes the big media is in a tank for the Democrats and for Obama. There's no problem about that. My question is, I'm very happy to hear that you're going to take up the fight and really stand up. And I guess my question is the Republican Party going to take advantage of the few allies you guys have, namely Glenn Beck, namely talk radio, and namely the Tea Party? Because I feel that in order for the Republican Party to make their big comeback, they've got to take advantage of those allies. And believe me, everybody in this room knows what you're all about, and you've got a lot of foot soldiers out here, so I just want to encourage you to keep up the good fight. But I really think that you guys have got to get on with them and get yourself on more shows and do more things, whether it's Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, and take the fight there, because that's going to carry the day in the end, I think.
I knew Dave. I met Dave before he became popular. I don't think it's up to us, first of all. I think it's up to people who are part of whatever movement, whether it's the Tea Party movement or the 9/12 movement, to determine whether or not they want to be part of the Republican coalition. And I say coalition because Republicans can't win the majority without a coalition of people, and I think they're an important part of that coalition. I don't think we as Republicans should go and say, we want you to be part of our party. I'm not a top-down person, I'm a bottom-up person. I come from, again, you know my background. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. No one recruited me into the party. I kind of pushed my way in. And so I think it's important that we are accessible as candidates, as a party. I think it's important for people who are more conservative to be part of the Republican Party rather than a splinter group. Let me explain what I mean by that. I said this to a group on Saturday, some of you may have been there, that Bob Menendez is a U.S. Senator from New Jersey who's the head of the Democrat Senatorial Committee, sent a memo to senatorial candidates that got leaked to one of the Washington newspapers, and it was printed, and essentially, to paraphrase the memo, it said the Tea Party movement, and the 9/12 movement, and these conservative activists around the country are naturally Republican allies. What we need to do is split them. We need to make sure that they support third-party candidates rather than Republican candidates. We need to make the Republicans the bad guys, so they will go elsewhere and support libertarians or support independent candidates. It's exactly, and watch this in the coming months, it's exactly what Harry Reid is doing in Nevada. The only way that Harry Reid can win is if he has third-party candidates taken away from the Republican. Harry Reid doesn't get above 40% of the vote. He's known by 110% of the people in Nevada. Everybody knows Harry Reid, and they don't like him. And so the only thing that he can do is try to beat down the Republican opponents, his opponents, and encourage the non-traditional opponents to run as third-party candidates. There's one person running in the Republican primary that's supported by the Tea Parties, but there are other Tea Party candidates running as third parties. And Harry Reid, and one of my colleagues from Nevada has told me this, is actually because his son's running for governor. He is really involved in the Democrat Party there, obviously, and they're encouraging third-party races because they know he can't win unless there's enough of that to drag out the Republican down. So, and I'm the last person who's going to tell Glenn Beck or Rush Limbaugh or Mark Levin that they should be shills for the Republican Party. I don't believe they should. They are a conservative radio talk show host, and I think they have an important role in this, and we should be encouraging them by providing leadership, as you pointed out, through our leadership. But I don't want them to be just totally Republican either.
Hello.
Hello.
First of all, I just want to say I respect you for maintaining a family business. I think part of the problem in Washington is that we have too many career politicians that are out of touch with the private market, and I think it's good that you have stayed in touch with that, because I think so many people in Washington don't understand business. And that's why some of the tax laws we have and the healthcare laws.
This administration actually is the most, in history, and how do I put this, has the fewest number of people with private sector experience in the history of any administration. And in fact, the new Supreme Court nominee has not only no judicial experience, Patrick Piccinini back there is more qualified to be a Supreme Court justice, I think, than he's got private sector experience. He's a litigator in the prosecutor's office. So.
But my question is actually about the national debt, and that's probably one of my big concerns. And if the Republicans do take back one or both of the houses, what is their strategy to deal with this issue? Because I'm worried about our children and grandchildren.
Well, you should be. There's going to be a battle royale in the future on this. And some would say we have to do everything. The problem is so bad today. We have to raise taxes. We have to cut spending. We have to do everything. Now, as we speak, in some back room in Washington, Paul Volcker, who's running the President's Tax Reform Committee, is writing out a value-added tax to solve this problem. I would say stop. Stop that. There has never been a time in my lifetime, not even when Republicans were accused of shutting down government and killing babies in the street because they were going to starve. Remember all that, all the accusations against Newt Gingrich. Even after that, and John Kasich was budget chairman, the budget they passed did not cut spending. It just slowed the growth of spending. And the left went crazy, just slowing the growth of spending. So, I would argue to very wise people who would say, you got to do both. You got to cut spending, you got to slow the growth, you got to raise taxes. I would say, you know what? Let's cut spending first. Let's actually get that done. Let's actually go down that road. Think about the things that you could do in government that aren't needed today, and just slow the growth in some agencies, cut in others, before we have a discussion about raising our taxes. That's what I think we should start. And that's going to be a tough fight, knowing that we haven't done that ever in my lifetime.
But do you have support of other Republicans that think this
Yeah. Yeah, the problem is, I don't get to be king, so there is a majority of Republicans that believe that. But let me tell you, let me give you an example. Earmarks. Earmarks represent 1% of spending. That's something that a member of Congress can decide. I'm going to spend money on the Dublin Community Center. I'm going to double it. I could do that earmark if I wanted to. The problem with earmarks today isn't that it's just 1%, which is still a hell of a lot of money, by the way. The problem is it's unaccountable. It's not transparent. That's the bridge to nowhere that you heard about. We have, unbelievably, last year, a year ago, there were 40 of us, mostly Republican, a couple Democrats, that said, we're not doing earmarks until it's reformed. The year before that, there were like 30 of us. Okay? This year, we have 178 Republicans, I believe, and there's 170 of us. Now, is there 178? Nope. We don't have everybody on board on that, but there's about 10, 12 Democrats. So we're not a majority. So my point is, you still have to have leadership, and we have a leader who is trying really hard to say, you know what, we need to reform this. Please join us in not doing earmarks. And we're getting there a lot quicker than I thought, but we're not quite there yet. So are we there in terms? We don't even have a majority yet. So I don't know who I'm going to be serving with if we're in a majority. But we certainly have a supermajority of people who think that Washington needs to change the way it's spending.
We've got time for a question, maybe two.